Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know.
Hey everybody, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we just hang around and we talk about whatever we want to talk about. We just visit. We just hang out. It's kind of like an office hours, I don't really have anything to talk about, but we kind of just sort of show up, right? We do the normal videos throughout the week, and then on the live stream we just sort of hang and talk about what's going on in the week in terms of apps. Which, to be honest with you, it's been pretty quiet this week, in terms of app development and everything, especially through what I've been doing. I did a quote last week. That was probably the one thing I did last Friday, or sorry, not last Monday. It was like just doing a quote, which is like one of those things that just drains you, right? It takes a lot of time out of your day. You're just trying to think of something. You're trying to think of all the eventualities of things that could go wrong with the project, what kind of technologies you're going to use, like, how you want to actually structure something, and then you put something out there, and then you get no response back, right? It's one of those, so it's probably one of those things I have to chase. So that was one of the things. Also been working on this a project, and a couple different projects in Xamarin Forms. I've just got like little things. I got little things that are like, when you use a cross-platform framework and you give out a couple versions out, like, it's kind of like you have to test them independently of each other, because I put out the iOS version. The iOS version worked really, really well, but the Android version has a few little kinks to it, with something which does a lot of like UDP data packets and stuff like that, and it's like it doesn't quite work. Some things, little things where you like I kind of think I should know the answer to, like when you save something to system preferences, like when you save it to the actual the system preferences, right? In iOS, it'll save it as an integer, but it converts it to a string when you do it into Android and that kind of stuff, or the way it comes back. So, that little kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing, just, up to that. And then, just, God, I don't know where the week goes. The nice thing is, though, the weather's nice. So, okay, so I'm in my bedroom again, just, hanging, in my bedroom, just because that was the thing. So last few weeks I've been reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, which has been really good. So one of the things I'm trying to do is like minimize a bit more of the distractions. So moving the desk into the bedroom does help to minimize some of the distractions. And like this week I've been rereading Deep Work by Cal Newport, which is also a really good book. But like, I'm trying to like turn off all notifications and everything like that today, and yeah, it's nice when you get into the zone. Like, if you guys have ever read the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I forgot how it is. That's one thing we're always trying to achieve is our flow state. That's kind of what I wanted to do. So let's see who's here. Let's see. Mega Man is first. Hey, how's it going, Mega Man? Joe, hey, how's it going? Jeff, hola, Jeff. I know that you're in the UK too. The weather's been really nice, hasn't it? Morris says, YouTube doesn't show your scheduled live stream. I had to get a link from Twitter. Really? Huh, I wonder. That's weird. Let me have a look. Which is like one of those. Let's have a look. Live. Yeah, no, it should. 21 March 1700 live now. No idea why. Huh. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that more. So yeah, I mean, it is one of those, every week was like, should we do a live stream this week? Because I was like very like religiously doing it, but then it's like, there are some weeks where there's not that much to talk about, but we always, there's always somebody who has a question about, AdMob or whatever. By the way, the one thing is I've been noticing every month I've been making like 3 or 4 pounds from Amazon, right? I've not released anything to the Amazon App Store in, I think, probably 2015. So it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, like, but my revenue is growing. I mean, it's still like it's just a couple pounds. It's like not that big a deal. But considering that I haven't done anything with it, and it's one of those things where I'm looking at today, thinking I need to look at that again, because one of the big problems I've had with Google Play is just these suspensions and all that kind of stuff, and I have so much code out there, so many different applications, so many graphic assets, so many things that were like actually had like a lot of really good reviews. A lot of people really like them, but I had the issues with the 4.5 guideline on Apple, where there's like, no, it has to be a container app. I hate those guys. And then there's a Google Play stuff where like the occasional just, we're going to suspend you because I don't know, the algorithm says, then you have to go through and improve that stuff. So you have to look at the Amazon App Store. Now, have any of you guys actually put anything in the Amazon Store? I'll be interested to know that. Theo Taylor's in the house. Hey, how's it going, Theo? So my app revenue has been pretty low, but it's been like, I've just been looking at lots of like trying to get a few other apps done, and it's really hard when you're working on your own stuff. Like it's always like something else that comes up, and I don't even think that like important. It's just like, oh, I told this client I would do something for him. I told something else, whatever. So, and then there's a couple days which I have blocked out. There's 3 days which I have blocked out for specifically for one client. But then my Mondays and Fridays are my days where I'm going to work on this other project. And then there's other things that come up from time to time. So, it's just one of those things. Just being busy, like just kind of all the time. Also, I'm trying to minimize. So I'm trying to get to the point where depending more on my MacBook, MacBook Air as opposed to my super powerful iMac, because I want to get to the traveling state, the situation where I could travel and do the digital nomad stuff. I know some of you guys out there have done that, and I have like desperately wanted to do that probably, but I'll have to wait till after my one of my kids is done, with school and stuff, which is very, very soon. So I'm looking forward to that. But I am going to go to Italy here in a couple weeks. I'm going to go to Milan Bergamo for like a couple days over the weekend, which should be nice. Let's see. Jeff says, Eric, boring question, but do you need public liability insurance or product insurance when you sell apps? I don't know. Now I have had liability insurance, but it was mostly because I had certain clients that required it. It's one of those things. It's like probably like all insurance. It's probably not a bad idea to have it, but it's not a requirement. Like nobody's ever said I had to have it. And it was one of the things that did worry me when I had the Ear Spy app out there, because when that was like my biggest app on Google Play, because this kind of thing where I thought, well, what if I got in trouble for that? And that's one of the reasons why, like every time I thought of like an improvement to the application, it had to do something with like taking away more privacy. So my whole thing was like, so Ear Spy was this app, and I talk about it all the time, you guys probably know, but like basically it was just, you could put it you could put your phone in another room, put your Bluetooth headphones on, and listen to what's happening in another room. Like the platform can do that now. Like you could do that on Google Play without using the app. So that was one of the things. And also there were toys at Toys R Us that did it. So you're kind of limited with the amount of space. It was like a baby monitor, right? However, it would have been very easy to send those packets over the internet and actually have it so I could leave it on the other side of town, or I could leave it at home when I go to work, that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff was really creepy. So like every time I thought about doing something like that, or share it with other people, right? And people like, that was when people would like kind of like corner me and say, Eric, I got an idea for your app. You could thank me later, or like you share the proceeds, but what if you could listen over the internet? And I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. It's like one of those things I was just opposed to. And, and so I guess the copycats can do that. There's your idea. Like you guys get suspended that way. But like that kind of stuff, like when we talk about liability insurance, I was like getting sued was something that, it does scare me. And I kind of, being in England, we're not as litigious as in the US. But just other than AdMob, which other mediation networks do you have most success with? I think MobFox is the only other one that I've used. But that was for a very short time. I mean, AdMob was the one that I really depended on, because most of my revenue came through AdMob. Like it was like night and day. So I had like AdMob with AppLovin and Facebook Audience Network going through it. Did I have another one going through it? No, those were the big ones that I had, and it was like AppLovin and Facebook Audience Network really did not do very well. Now I always wondered whether or not if I used them like as the primary, then maybe it would do better. But I did like having that competition going through the application. And I noticed that App 11 would like spike. My revenue App 11 would spike when, for whatever reason, Google AdMob decided to limit the ads or disable the ads for whatever, placement issues. Usually it's something to do with placement issues, or maybe somebody said something, or maybe it was covering a button or something on certain types of phone. So like then it would they would disable the apps temporarily, and you have to go in and fix them. But then like you could have like several hours or several days while you're fixing this that you have no revenue coming in. So at least like it gets funneled into other things. Like they don't remove all ads, they only remove the ones coming from AdMob. So that was like the thing. So Julio Cruz, hey Eric, nice to see you. I'm missing the daily Overpass videos. I know, I keep thinking about doing it. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm doing it twice a week, but like I keep getting to a point where like I know I keep saying the same stuff over and over again. I guess so I appreciate that, Julio, because I miss doing them. There used to be this thing which was like, if you've ever done something regular, like routinely, like for a while I would I would get up in the morning and I would go for a run. It was like never something I thought about. It was just something I did. Okay, I get that run out of the way. And it was that was with the daily videos too. It was like, just kind of like it was never questioned. It was never like on, do I really have something to talk about? Is I really want to do a video today? And now I've gotten to that point where I just haven't been doing it regularly. But it was kind of a weird thing because like it was, when they talk about that, you surround yourself by the 5 people that, like the 5 people you surround yourself with. Like I didn't know anybody else who was doing YouTube videos. And it was kind of this weird thing where I'm like, like I always had a tripod in the back of my Mustang and everything. And I was like, always, just drive past someplace and set up, and then just, and I'd have this list of stuff I like to talk about, which I still do. I still have loads of stuff that, and I think this is like a lot of us do. Like there's nothing exceptional. Like I'm, just like, hey, I read this thing. I thought this was pretty cool. And hey, I applied this to this, client, or, even it was like a lot of it was, how I was like working with the ad networks, how was, the revenue I was getting. And one of the things that disappointed me a little bit was when somebody says like, it was like, it was all about the money. Like people say like, okay, sir, can you tell me how to make how do I make, enough money to live off of from the app stores? I'm like, you're asking, you're going money first. Like, you should, you build something, and then let's talk about how we can get that in front of people. Like, it's not like like I have all the answers. If I did, that's all I would do. I would have no unsuccessful apps. But it was like, I thought maybe I was making it sound a little bit easier than it was, which is not the case. So any of us who put out an application, like basically we're doing the same thing any other producer of anything does. We put something out there, and then we're thinking, okay, people aren't finding this. How can I get them to find it? And that was what I was more concerned with. Like, build something you think people will like, and if they're not finding it, then good. So like, and I would have people ask me like, how do I click the ads without people knowing that I'm clicking them? Like I would have that like at least 3 or 4 times. Like they basically just wanted to commit fraud and asking me how they could get away with it. I'm like, dude, I like it got more and more difficult using AdMob just because of people like that kind of mentality. And that was, there's still that thing where we talk like the deep work and the putting the reps in, and like just there's a lot of work that goes into being a software developer. And when we talk about the quick wins, I'm thinking, I try not to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I've never done a course or never charged for anything. Like if somebody wants my time, then I'll charge for my time. Like if they want to do a consultancy thing, I'll charge for that. But I've never been like, oh, okay, join Overpass Academy. Although I did set up that domain once thinking, I was toying with the idea, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the, joined by mastermind group and all this kind of stuff. So, to me, it was like doing the live streams, like just developers hanging out and talking to each other. And that, to me, that's fun. So, let's see. Theo says, did you get the base model, or did you get the RAM up to 16 gigabytes? I got a 16 gigabyte MacBook Air. So it's pretty decent. It's nice. It's a really nice, sleek little machine. But it's like, I'm also like, so right now I've got the monitors in front of me, and I've got the 27-inch, iMac with 72 gigabytes of RAM, and it is nice. It is, it's like just that kind of like, I just like sit down and just not have to worry about shutting tabs down and everything like that. But then I realized that it's kind of like the distractions of everything, because I have so many tabs open. So Adrian, hi team. Hey, how's it going? Spring has finally arrived in Ireland, Britain. I know, it's so nice. Just before the live stream, I just went for a little walk because I'm just, I need to get a bit of vitamin D. But yeah, it's really nice here. Bite Size says minimum requirement knowledge React Native need to go on React Native. Minimum requirement knowledge React need to go on React Native. I think what you're asking is what's the minimum you have to do to become a React developer. Again, goes back to the question, that thing about let's not think about the minimum. Let's think about how you can be the best at what you do, right? The minimum is what you could get somebody where you could actually produce something and someone will pay you to do it, right? And somebody might be looking for a developer who's not necessarily the most skilled, so they're cheaper, and there's somebody who's willing to learn. But then that's the thing, you grow your skills and get better at it. So yeah, that's good. So Joe says, "Do you ever try Unity ads?" No, because I've never released anything in Unity. Now we did do one app in Unity, but it wasn't ad based. It was for a client. So no, I never have. I still never have used Unity ads. And so I don't even know how it would compare with like the eCPMs of AdMob and all the other stuff. So Chris said, join late, love today's short on migration projects. Dude, I love migration projects. They're nice and easy, because a lot of the times the thing that draws out a project is design work and like how should this thing work. Although, to be honest with you, I've had migration projects where I've given them to like development teams, and they took just as long as the regular one did. So it's like there's a big benefit being able to know both languages, or at least be able to, even if you're not like completely fluent in like Objective C or Swift or Kotlin, or depending on which way you're migrating it, right? Just being able to see the application and see, okay, what does that do? Right? Because it's all ifs and whiles and in functions at some level anyway. So being able to take that and build it into the other platform is like a nice, easy thing to do. Occasionally you'll get things where like one platform doesn't support another thing. Like we had one where it was on Android, I was able to connect to like a remote, like it was like an IoT Internet of Things thing, where it was like a device where you could connect to, and it was by just using the Wi-Fi of the phone. So actually having the ability to scan the Wi-Fi and everything and be able to pick the device from the application. I was able to do that in Android, but not able to find a way to do that in iOS. So that was one of those things where like, ooh, okay, what can we do instead? So, but yes, thanks, Chris. Let's see. Adrian says, I hear rumors that Mixpanel is far more accurate than using Firebase and Google for analytics. Anyone know if that's true? I don't know. So there's a couple things I'm using for analytics. I was trying to think. There's one I used to use back in the old days, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was called Flurry. But it was like, so Firebase Analytics and Google Analytics are both good. I use App Center for like Xamarin projects, and that's okay. The one thing I don't like about any of the analytics tools is they make assumptions on the data that you want to find. Like if you were to have your own analytics tool and you were just saying, I'm just gonna put this in a database, like every time a page is hit, every time whatever, and you put it in your own database, you could query that thing a lot better. Like I think the query tools on all of these things really lacks. But then you have certain things like you don't have to worry about, like if something crashes, you're obviously not going to be able to capture that crash in your own code and send it off to your own server. But like that's kind of, or even if you don't have internet access, you'd have to write all that code that says, okay, if the internet's not there, then store it locally, then send it when it's there. So at least like that kind of stuff does that. But like the one problem I have with analytics tools is like it makes assumptions on what you want to see. Like, so you're looking at go, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, the way they display that's pretty good. But then you're like, I want to break that down by whatever, by some other metric, by like hour of day or whatever. So, but I mean, so I've never tried Mixpanel. Let's have a look at this, because I think the thing about Firebase is because you have to use Firebase for push notifications. It's like, that's kind of that's almost like, it's almost like the when Windows was bundling in Internet Explorer with the Windows platform. People say that's not fair to like Netscape or whatever, because basically you're just giving it to them and they always have it. They don't even have to install it, right? And so it like competition laws and everything like that. And that's kind of the same with Firebase a little bit, I think. You might disagree with me, but like if you're gonna do if you're gonna have to use Firebase anyway for push notifications, like through GCM, rather not GCM, FCM. We went from Google Cloud Messaging to Firebase Cloud Messaging. So like you're already using this one aspect of it. So why not use it for authentication and analytics and all this kind of stuff? But so let's see, mix panel. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen here. Actually, wrong screen. Let's go over here. So Mixpanel, build better products. Okay, the one thing. So, and again, like Firebase, you can talk about anti-competition. Firebase has like, they don't like analytics. They don't charge you for. But let's see. Unlimited data and history seats. Okay, well, actually, unlimited data and history seats. I'm talking about unlimited ports. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at it, because like the accuracy of like, it's not so much the accuracy of the analytics, it's more just the being able to get to that data is the thing that I have the most trouble with. So yeah, does anybody else use it? What do you guys think of that? Let's see. Kevin, hey, good evening. Thanks for sending me the stuff on the daylight savings time. That's really like I wrote a blog post about this ages ago, like how dumb I thought daylight savings was. The fact that we're manually going through and changing clocks. It's kind of one of those weird things. So it's kind of strange that they're voting for that in the States. Because like we always like over here, we're in the limbo period now, where like there's the time between here and the East Coast is like 4 hours and 7 hours to the West Coast. So like when I talk to my family, we got this like it's off for like 3 weeks. It's like off a little bit, and then we get to the point, and then the live stream's different for some people. So we say it's always 5 p.m. UK time, which is always just that's it. I'm not saying GMT. It's always just 5 p.m. So it's like the time, because I got stuff going on before and after. Right, so some people miss the live stream and all this stuff, and then in the Philippines they don't go to daylight savings. So then I know the time is 8 hours. It goes from being 8 hours to 7 hours, or 7 hours. Yeah, it's one of those things where like because of daylight savings, we can never just know what time it is someplace. So thank you for sending that over. Let's see. Theo says that I have the Mac, the M1 Mac and the M1 MacBook Air, and Universal Control makes them incredibly nice. Oh, what is universal control? Is that like you control one from the other? Drew is here, just here to say hi. Hi. Let's see. Let's see. Keegan says, "Do you have a Discord channel?" Yes, we do. We do have a Discord channel. I've not been that active on it lately, but like a lot of people were going on there to be able to exchange information and stuff like that, talk about their apps. So yes, there is. It should be in the description, I think. Bice says, "I'm 60 years old. I'm learning the MERN stack." Oh man, okay. Mongo. Okay, the mean stack is Mongo. Why am I blanking on this? So it was like Mongo Express. Okay, Mongo Express, React, Nginx. Should I master the MERN first? Should I go React Native or should I master MERN first? It depends on what you actually want to do, because it's like two different things. Using the MERN stack, you could do your backend APIs and stuff like that. But I would think if you focus on the React part, it should be like you should be able to just use a lot of the same code and a lot of stuff. Like the markup's going to be different. Like you got you're not outputting HTML, you're putting out something else. But like if you could structure your code where you could reuse a lot of those libraries and stuff like that, it'd be really cool. But just building something that runs and that you could give to people, like, and being able to reach into other APIs. The nice thing about doing, if you were to do React Native, if you're only 16 and you're doing React Native, like, you could produce something, and basically the only thing you're paying for is your $25 for your Google Play account, or your $99 a year for the App Store account. If you don't have any backend server, then you don't have to incur those costs. If you're doing something where you if you're doing something that's hosted, you still have to have that backend server. Now you could probably use you can use something like Heroku or something where it's just always up and running, or use a free tier on AWS, to get something that's up and running on the server. But for me, like, if it starts to scale, then you have to like pay a lot more. So you could like play around with that, getting something actually working on a device. Now the cost that you will incur with actually doing app development is you have all the devices and stuff like that. But you could just try to release something. The only thing is, if somebody says, like, to me, my biggest problem is when somebody says, "Oh, it's not working on Android 8 or it's not working on Android 9 or whatever." I'm like, I could download an emulator and run it on there, and hopefully I could reproduce the issue, but usually I can't. Then I have to go find a phone, or downgrade one of my existing test devices and everything like that. So I go through and I chase this thing whole dang down, and I still can't reproduce the issue. And then you start to dig a little bit, you find out that actually they didn't describe the issue very well, and it's like nothing to do with the platform. It's nothing to do with anything else. They weren't even they may not have been using the right app. So so that's why I'm saying it could be another incurring cost. So let's see. Using Acro, we can catch the crash and send to the server. Okay, well, yeah, cool. Well, yeah, but at some point, your code runs out. Like, you could store it, but then, let's see. I mean, but like, you have to actually be running about, like, because I know even using something like App Center or Crashlytics, it still will not send it to the server until after your app starts up again. At least that's the way that I think it works. Let's see. Joe says, I noticed a 13.5% drop in revenue over the past week. ECM dropped 13%. Impressions have remained consistent. No changes made to any app. Any tips on how I can boost this back up, or just wait it out? I think this is like where using the mediation networks might be a good idea, because it's, if in this, Joe, I think we're talking about Unity ads here, right? So like, if you did have other ads going through, like if you're only tied to one ad network and the eCPM goes down, there's not a whole lot you can do, right? You can either increase your impressions by having more ad placements, or increase the frequency of the impressions, or that's about it. Increase your downloads so you get more impressions, that kind of stuff. There's not a whole lot more you could do, which is why that's one of the, so mediation networks, at least it gives you, like, you could try to switch from one to another. You can still do that with like just like releasing another version of it, but it's like a very slow process. Yeah, Benjamin Carlog. Hello, hey, how's it going, Ben? Fist07 is here. Hey man, how are you? Let's see. Benjamin says, hello from Denmark. Hey, how's it going? What do you guys think is the best for long running cross platform apps? Xamarin, Flutter, React, or something else? We are building a work app that sends directly from the drivers. The thing is, like, so I actually have some experience with this. You're talking about like a GPS tracking kind of thing. You need to make sure that Xamarin's a pretty good choice, because I'm doing stuff with that. I don't know about React, and I'm not sure about Flutter either. But you have to make sure that you have those background processes running. And you need to make sure that you, Xamarin, okay, the reason is Xamarin has like a really good cross-platform library. There's the GPS geolocation library in Xamarin Forms, which is part of the Essentials Toolkit. But there's also, if you go straight to James Montemagno's plugin, he has like background processing built into it. So you still have to go in and, like, it's in the documentation of James Montemagno's GPS geolocation thing. So you can have that running as a background task. Now, the one thing that's kind of tricky is like depending on is that you have to make sure that they go through and set always. Like, so if you have something that's tracking in the background, you have to make sure that they set always allow on that, because otherwise it will run until it just doesn't. Like I've had that before where just like, if you have it like only while using, and this is one of the things that's gotten really complicated with iOS. So you can't just say set to always allow. You have to actually send them to, like, it will run, like it will say, do you want to allow this once, allow while using, or don't allow, and then you have to say allow while using, and then later on it'll say, hey, switch, hey, this is still tracking you, do you want to switch it to always allow? So one of the things you can do is check to make sure you have always allow set, and then like if you don't, then at that point you don't go any further and you say go to the settings and do that. So to me, I think and I like Flutter might have the similar thing, but I think the nice thing about Xamarin is it's you could write different code for the both platforms, and then when you're setting up your preferences in iOS, you have to go through, like when you're setting up your entitlements in iOS, you have to go through and set the background processing on there. So yeah. Well, I sounded like I know what I'm talking about now, don't I? You guys are impressed, aren't you? Jeez, I thought Eric was full of it, but no, he actually does know a thing or two. Change the scenery. Yeah, I'm in my bedroom now. I'm trying I read Atomic Habits. I'm trying to like minimize distractions. So I'm just working from the bedroom now. I'm trying to like just, okay, I'm just going to go. I'm going dark. I'm going, as Axel Foley said in Beverly Hills Cop 2, I am going deep, 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 deep undercover. Well, yeah, when you're working on something, like, I'm going deep undercover, man. Don't, if you reach out, I'm not going to be here. Theo says, Universal Control lets you control multiple Macs and iPads using the same accessories, and it's smooth. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it's yeah, that does sound good. I'm trying to get, like, my goal in life at the moment is to get to the point where I could just not have an apartment and just be able to travel different places. It might only last like maybe a month. Like maybe like, no man, I'll get my apartment back. But so I'm trying to get to that kind of stuff. So let's see. Bite says, can you review it? Love you, by the way. Thanks, man. Review what? If you put a link in there, I didn't get it. Can you let me know what it is we should be reviewing? Because I didn't. Sometimes the when you put a link into YouTube, it'll strip it out, and I don't see what it is, so I haven't seen that. Jeff says, Eric, for the first time dev, is it worth putting out a practice app to learn the ropes before launching your big idea app? Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, that's like if you were, if you're it's the kind of thing, like if you were a musician, you're not like, once I come up with that good song, then I'm gonna learn to play the guitar, or like, once as a writer, like once I come up with that good novel idea, then I'm going to teach myself to type. It's like, no, you might as well, you put the reps in, it's like, because as you go, first of all, as you're working on it, that big idea might occur to you. And then also, if you already know what your big idea is, like that's a bit where you get to like, you thrash around a little bit, I mean, but you still try to do your big idea. If you already have your big idea, the thing is you might get discouraged and not go any further. So like a lot of the times, like when you do those like first time like test projects, it's always like a calculator or a chat app, or it's accounting software or something like that. Something where you're just practicing stuff and see if this works, and so. But yeah, definitely. Theo says, are you a Monterey 12.3 open system and search for universal control? All right, I'm gonna do that right now. We're gonna do a little bit of, let's see. I am on. I don't see universal control. Oh, here. Oh, there. It's under accessibility. Oh, okay. Oh, nope. I'll check that out later. Because I'm using it. I'm on an iMac. Like I'm not on an M1 iMac, but I do have an M1 MacBook Pro. Oh. Today's trends says, to be a game developer, which to be learned basically. To be a game developer, which to be learned basically. Okay, I'm gonna like rephrase your question. Is it gonna be to be a game developer, which programming language should you learn the basics of? Would that be it? A lot of people use Unity, like Solar 2D and Chrome SDK became Solar 2D. That's the one I used, and I really liked it. But because it's like because it's now open source and everything, I don't know how big the community is. The community used to be really big on that, and it sort of died out. But Unity seems to be the one that's you can do 2D and 3D games. Like if I were gonna do it, I'd go the Unity route. You also got like Cocos 2DX, which I've never really done anything with. I've done some stuff on a few of the the JavaScript ones, the Phantom OS or whatever. But like that, when I tried to run that like in a Cordova emulator, it was just so slow. So I would think probably Unity would be the way to go. But like I'm not like a good thing. So let's see. Joe says, thanks for the mediation tips, Eric. Looking into mediation / other networks to try to resolve this drop. Yeah, at least you get some way of actually moving over. Fistobo says that the biggest distraction with the bedroom is the bed. I know, man. I did think about that. I thought, yeah, I'm right next to the place I normally sleep. But like for some reason, if it's in the middle of the day, I will take a nap on the couch, but I will not take a nap in the bed. Like there's just something wrong about taking it. Like if I'm laying down in the bed, it's not a nap. It's like, for the night, or something else maybe, if I'm lucky. So yeah, but you're right. Joe, off topic, do Android emulators with Android Studio work with the Apple M1 systems? I think they do now. I have not been able to get it to work. This is like I should go back and look at it. So like when I'm working on site someplace, I have to bring some of my Android devices with me. Like this, I have this Google Pixel 3. I've got a really old Nexus 5. I've got my really old Nexus 6. I've got my Nokia 1.3, which is just a terrible phone. I bought it new, but it was like really cheap, but it was like really laggy. What else do I have over here? I've got, that's it in terms of Android. I got a few more. I've got like a tablet somewhere. But let's see. Fisto was today is the first day of spring. Is it? Oh, yay. I didn't realize it was a day. Marek Blezik, it says, hey, my old game doesn't have GDPR consent dialog. I don't have the source files anymore. I don't collect any data only using AdMob. Is it a big deal? I would, it's one of those things where I spend a lot of time putting the GDPR pop-ups in my apps, and I don't think I haven't heard a whole lot of people hitting the backlash. I would bet if you asked a lot of the developers here, and they were being honest with you, I bet a lot of them haven't implemented that in. So it's one of those, you might be able to just see what happens. I mean, it's an older application. If they remove it, or if they, that's, as soon as they bring in something new where you have to go through and change it, like, I don't know, upgrade the Android Target version or something, then at that point you might have to like rebuild it. So, it's, what happened to the source files? I mean, even if you didn't have the source file, if you don't have the key store file, then that's probably the most important part. Fisto says that for game dev, if you want to build a game technology, then C++. If you only want to make games, then pick a game engine and learn the language used by that engine. Yeah, I mean, if it's if you want to build game technology, yeah, I mean, like one of the early books I read on game development was beginning Android games, and that didn't use any framework at all. It was all about the game loop and how to render things and how to render your canvas and everything like that. And which is like it's a more difficult approach. Actually, no, it's a lot less. It's like any cross-platform framework. It's like a lot less overhead in terms of space and everything like that. But it gives you all these kind of tools. Like I did one application where I had done everything using the game loop. So you have all your objects, your enemies, you've got your hero, you've got the whatever obstacles, and you've got the whatever box 2D collision layers and all that kind of stuff. So you have all that kind of stuff in there, but you have the game loop, so you have more control over that. and I've worked with other developers who could not deal with that kind of stuff. They had to, everything had to be, it wasn't Corona SDK. It was like transition to, like they couldn't think in terms of every frame that comes through. You're rendering all these things. So every object has to know where it is and where it's going. Right, and that could be either up or down, like it goes 5 pixels up, 5 pixels down, so you have to keep each object to keep track of what they're actually doing. Or if it's one of the kind that are actually attacking the player, they have to know where they are, and they have to know where the player is, and their velocity, and their speed and their velocity, so that how quick are they going to actually move towards that hero and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's really interesting doing that way. But let's see. Today's trend says, we can have a secondhand mobile shop itself. Well, that's like, I'm like terrible. Like nobody's allowed to get rid of phones around me because I'll take it from them. So just, it's just having that kind of, to be honest with you, most of the development I do is through the simulators because it's quicker. You want that quicker feedback loop. So everything's running. Okay, cool. So let's put it on the, test it on the physical devices. Like I've done it. I've had release things where I haven't actually tested on a physical device, and so many times it's come back to bite me. Like usually it's a memory issue or something like something works in a cross-platform simulator, but it doesn't work on locally. When I do have to use local for actual when I have to use local for actual development, it's usually because I'm using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something where it's like it's too difficult to run that through the simulator. But let's see. Fizzle7, do you have a Windows phone? No, I don't. I never did get one. The bounding box, yes, bounding box. I think you need to partition space to optimize rendering. Quad trees, anybody? Partition space. Yeah, well, geez. Cyprian Turku says, hey, is this YouTube channel profitable? How did it ever evolve over time, and where is it now? Would you do YouTube about development if it would pay more than client work development? This is a good question, because at one point I was doing the videos every day, and so I got invited to YouTube, and the consultant she did say that it's like, this could become your full-time thing, doing YouTube videos. And it was very intoxicating. It was like, thinking, wow, I could just do YouTube videos and nothing else. And then the more I started thinking about it, I would be basically in competition I'd be doing a very low value skill with people in competition with other people who are 15 years old, trying to do something that, if I stopped doing software development, then I'd just be talking about normal stuff like, hey, everybody, I'm just, today I'm going to the store or whatever. And it was like, I'm not that interesting. So I take a lot of satisfaction from the fact that I make things and I do things, that my skills are in demand and they're useful. And I think when I started to think about taking and just doing YouTube, it was like, oh, and by the way, is it profitable? I'll tell you exactly how much it makes. I think over the last 30 days it made 80 pounds. Yeah, it's like 80 pounds, like 70 or 80 pounds, something like that. At the height it was like 200 or 300 pounds. Like, it wasn't a lot. At the height I was doing it every day. I was doing videos every day, so it was like, it was never a money maker like from AdSense or anything like that. Now I get offers sometimes to do like promotion stuff. I don't usually take them, mainly because then it's like, well, first of all, like there was like the SEO tool called The Tool. You guys may have seen it. If you like, there's all the big ones. There's a Sensor Tower, Mobile Action, and stuff. But The Tool came to me and said they would give me like the full like product to play around with. All I had to do was make all I had to do was make a promoted video for The Tool, and every time one of you guys would like subscribe to it, I would get a percentage of that. And I was like, okay, let me have a look at it. And I was like, I didn't like it. I did not like it. I was like, thinking, and I was like, that's the kind of thing where like, if we can't be honest about like how the business is doing well or doing bad, or whatever, then we might as well just be like academic. When I started doing started doing app development, I started to realize that a lot of people were like, some people were actually doers, but there was a whole lot of talkers. A whole lot of people were like, everything was academic. It's like, you should use Vungle because Vungle's got like a higher ECPM and stuff like that. And like this one guy, Chris, God, he was like this, that was his thing. He was the app guy, right? He was like, articles, blogs, whatever. He's moved on to whatever the newest, drop shipping or whatever, probably. But he was like, we had this conversation. He was telling me like, oh, it's like, I'm not going to charge you, but this conversation alone has probably made you thousands of dollars, right? It's like, it didn't, right? It was just like, everything he told me was academic. So once I put this stuff into practice, it's not until you test, you actually find out what it is. Some things work, some things don't. So, so it's like, if I become that guy who just talks about what should work, like then, how is that different than anything else, right? Now, the one thing the YouTube channel does help is that like clients find me, like clients who are looking for somebody they can trust. They will contact me and they need some work done or they need a bit of help or whatever. That does make a bit more, but yeah, to me, I've had this a lot too, where people have contacted me and said like, I'm trying to do my YouTube channel. How can I do it so it makes money? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not playing that game. That's not the game I'm playing. I don't want to be looking for content all the time. I don't want to be like, hey everybody, today's sponsor is Skillshare, whatever. Like, and I'm not a user of Skillshare. That kind of stuff just kind of bothered me. And I know that's how advertising works. So you guys might disagree with me on that, but let's see. And would I do YouTube? Would I do YouTube about development if it would pay more than client work? I would if I thought it would help other people actually, but then it wouldn't be just like I would have to actually, I would have to keep up the skills. So yeah, client work is not something that I particularly is the end goal. It's just kind of the thing that I'm doing. Physical 7, when you have a lot of objects in a game, you need to group them in a logical way so the rendering loop runs smooth and fast. You need to reduce the number of objects you loop through. That's true. Yes. So you have to like, I'm assuming you're like talking about you don't want to bother with something that's off screen. Is that what you mean? Hence the quad tree. See that? Okay, dude, you're way above me on that one. See, I'm trying to sound all smart, and then you got, Let's see. Bite says, I'm jealous from your so much knowledge, but whoa. Yeah, no, like, hey, it's just, you learn things as you go. Like you can't be a software developer unless you're curious about things. Like you have to be, every software developer, actually, I don't know if this is true, but you got to know what it's like to be sitting there at 2:00 in the morning, realizing like, and you kind of still think it's like 10 p.m. or whatever. And you're like dealing with an issue and you're like, just can't figure this out. And you're like, this should be working. I'm so sick of looking at Stack Overflow, whatever. And then you find the issue, you find something else, like a boom. But it's like, sometimes that knowledge that you get is like hard won sometimes. Like, and so this is one of those, things like if you're going to hire somebody, you want to make sure that they put the work in and they've dealt with all these issues. New developers, and I remember this from myself as a new developer, I was not concerned with error handling. I was not concerned with logging. I was not concerned with all the boring stuff. I just wanted to do the stuff that the GUI stuff. So a lot of that stuff it comes as you go. Let's see. Fist level 7. Teachers teach, makers make. If a teacher could make, he would be making. Yeah, I mean, there are good teachers out there. Like when you look at, like, a lot of times people ask me, why don't you do tutorials? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, first of all, like, it's like if I try to do a tutorial, like you do the thing where you're like, let's start a project from scratch. You got to like plan all that stuff out and then film it all. Then you'll have somebody saying, at 2 minutes 12, you should have named a variable such and such. I'm like, I can't be bothered with that. Like for me, it's just like building stuff, and then you get better when you work with other people and stuff like that. So, let's see. I'm not thrashing teachers, though. We absolutely do. Yeah, I was trying not to trash teachers either. Today's trend says, is it that possible to buy a game app in a $50 and earn $500 a month? If it would be then which game would be to earn like that? Any idea? Sorry, this question is somewhat silly. Sorry if it is. Yeah, a lot of people like that's the thing with like you can go on Code Canyon and buy a game template. It used to be Chupa Mobile. I think Chupa Mobile still exists. Like game reskinning was like a big thing back in the day, and now it's just like it doesn't make sense. Like I think those things are good if you're like if you have like a client project and they're like we were talking before about the tracking delivery drivers or something like that. Like you could write all that stuff from scratch, or you could probably find a template that does that thing and then customize it for your client. So but that's not necessarily like you're putting something on the app store that's just in competition with the thing that's actually cloning, which so the and hoping that nobody else has found that thing for $50. So I mean it's possible. If you're better at marketing it, maybe you could. I guess I mean, I suppose it's possible. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe it is. Actually, as I'm saying this now, I'm thinking I'm poo-pooing the idea just because I think that it's I think a lot of people they buy like reskin code and they'll put it out there and hope it'll just take off. But like if you could get it in front of the right people, then maybe it could. But then you have to pay for advertising. You have to pay a lot more than that $50. And you should probably make it unique enough so that whoever it's a clone of doesn't turn around and get you removed. What's your view on a Web 3.0 NFT and metaverse? I looked into a little bit, and even looking into smart contracts and stuff like that, and I don't quite get it yet. Like I don't get buying NFTs and digital real estate. I know what they are, but I don't see the value in them. Like and I hate to be that old guy who's like, back in my day, we went to the movies for $3, but I'm that guy. Like, if like, I get that people could put an NFT out there and they could get rich with it, or they could buy a cryptocurrency low and then sell high. But at the end, it's like, I don't like, there's something like it's easy. Like you easily get swept up into something and you're like, okay, I'm just going to go whole hog into it. And then like a normal person asks you like, so how does it work? And you're like, it's just huge. It's huge. Everyone should get into it. And like, so I think I'm going to sit that one out, and, I'm going to sit that trend out, and that might be, a mistake, but like, unless somebody could tell me like in layman's terms, like how that's going to work, then, even like we talked about back in the day when you would buy domain names, it was like, people would buy a domain name and they could sell that domain name for $20,000, like because someone needed that domain. And Google kind of made domain names like not that relevant. I mean, they're relevant obviously, but they're not that important. Coding with Chip. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Eric, is EarSpy still alive or did catch COVID? It's still live on iOS, but it's like really old code. It's like, I don't think it's been updated since, I'm thinking 2018. It might even been earlier than that. So, but on Google Play, no, it's gone. It's dead. All the clones are still there though. So yeah, it was the things where last time it was removed, I just thought, you know what? I'm tired of it. So it's not on Google Play anymore. So, let's see. Fist07 said, is it 2210 or 1010? Are the blinds closed or is it dark outside? It's getting dark outside. It's so. Oh no, it's like what time is it? It's like 5 minutes to 6 p.m. It looks like pizza time. Oh God, why did you have to say pizza? I'm trying to be like good today. I bought some chicken. I'll throw in the oven. But then I'm going to the boxing class, so I'm gonna go boxing and then I'm gonna come back and eat some chicken. Let's see, which I don't know why. So I don't. Yeah, Mega Man says I don't get NFTs either. What's the people duplicating the original JPEGs? Yeah, it's one of those. I'm like, when I was a kid, I collected comic books. I still have like a box of comic books in storage where I have like Spider-Man number 252, the introduction of the black suit, the Venom suit, which became the Venom suit, and all this kind of stuff. And as a kid, you're thinking, this is going to be worth a lot of money one day. And I guess they still are, but like, I guess they are worth a lot of money, or worth more money than they were. But we also live in a world where you could reproduce everything. Like all those comic books that I have in little plastic bags with a cardboard backing. You could get the Marvel app and read any of them. So it's like, actually consuming that product is like you're just buying it to have that thing. And I've never been much into pieces of art and first editions and all that kind of stuff. When I think of NFTs, I think kind of the same thing. Like I'm a practical. I got more important stuff to spend money on than that kind of stuff. So, let's see. I think NFTs are good for unique license attribution. Yeah, I suppose so. If they can find a way to if they can find some way for NFTs to reduce piracy, then maybe. But I don't see any way that could happen. See, let's see. Bite Size says it's so relaxing seeing your stream after that bitch after that bitch errors. You're having a rough day, are you, Bite Size? Yeah. Today's trend says, which is the lowest client project you have done for your client, bro? And can you showcase that app and cost of it? No, it's one of those things that I don't do. Like if I were to talk about, like, that's one of those. I've had people criticize me about this. Like, why can't you just say, why can't you just tell us? Because then I can't charge something different for other people. I think about, there's a comedian, Hannibal Burgess, who complained about how one college newspaper talked about how much he charged them to do stand-up at their college, and which makes it difficult for him to charge any other college anything else. So there's some times where somebody can say, oh, but you said on the YouTube video that you were able to make this for that amount of money. So yeah, but this is like, there's different criteria and everything like that. And a lot of times it's like, it depends on stuff. I always wanted to have, like, in the beginning, I thought I want to reduce the buying friction by being able to post prices on my website. Like, this is how much it would cost, because nobody wants to get on the phone and call and ask, right? I hate doing that. If I have to get a plumber in, can you come by and just tell me how much it's going to cost to fix something or whatever? And it's like, yeah, I have no idea what it's going to cost. I don't know if I can afford it, all this kind of stuff. So nobody wants to call, and it'd be nicer if they just had listed prices. But a lot of the work we do is unique work. Like, we don't sell commodities, so you can't, really know that kind of stuff. So. And if I were to talk about it, first of all, I'll say not all of them, but like quite a few of the projects that I've worked on, I'm under NDAs for, and that's like, so that's why I don't talk specifically about client projects, unless they say specifically, like, yeah, go ahead, I don't mind. So I did ask a few, so some of them I have talked about, but I don't want to say how much I charge for those. So let's see. Bite says NFT is like a popular girl in college, but she don't think guys. She don't like guys. Yeah. So, just kidding. And it was, he can't show the price because he has prices at the pump. It keeps going up. That's right. Yeah. It's like, so yes, that's one of the things to think about. Like, if a lot of the times, like, you'll have people, like, if you do client work, they'll say, hey, how much would it cost to do like an accounting system? Like, if you were to just say it costs like, probably $500, whatever, which is like really, really low, but like, you don't know anything about that project. You don't know, like, does it integrate with any of the systems? Does it, like, what platform is it on? Like, you can't just give a price like that. There's like so many things to go on. So there's like meetings to be had, and there's like requirements to be gathered. So like, a lot of times I'll have like a few questions I'll ask, like, is it mobile app? Do you have any, there's a few things I could ask, and then I'll give a ballpark quote. And sometimes they'll say, well, that's really high. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's, yeah, it is. And so other times they'll be like, okay, let's get started. Can you start it tomorrow? I'm like, no, we got to go through requirement gathering, and I'll give you a more exact quote. So it's, because you need to make sure that they have the budget and everything before you spend all this work doing that kind of stuff. So anyway, but yes, it is pizza time, or, I'm going to go do some boxing, and just, because, I know you guys know I'm all, all hard and tough and everything like that. Go to the boxing class and hopefully not get beaten up. And then I'm going to, come back in. You guys don't even know what I'm doing tonight. Hey, we're just going to end the live stream now. Hey, thanks for joining. Hey, everybody, thanks for the thumbs up for those of you who did. This is like a really low-key thing. We just do these live streams every so often, and I have fun, and I hope you guys did too. And I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.